Hi, it's Mark from Top Local. We're here with Bernie Pawlik, Pawlik Automotive in Vancouver, Vancouver's best auto service experience. And we're going to talk about GM brand cars, their reliability. How you doing, Bernie?
I'm doing very well.
So GM has a lot of brands of cars and trucks, and some of them are similar. They've cut some of that extra stuff out there, but is there any one that's better than the other?
Well, I would say not. I mean, GM vehicles. So we're going to talk just about cars in this particular hangout. But I mean, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of similarities among GM brands of vehicles. They're they share engines between, say, Chevrolet and well, it used to be like Pontiac and Buick. And Chevrolet would often share the same engines, and Oldsmobile as well, or Oldsmobile and Cadillac would share some different engines. Cadillac is unique. They have a lot of engines that you don't see in Chevys, but sometimes over the years they've blended things together. Is one brand better than the other? Not really. They're all built the same way, the same factory. They kind of all compete against each other in the marketplace. But as you mentioned, I mean, GM's really cut things down. There used to be, there's now Chevrolet still there, but and Buick is still there, but Pontiac's gone, which they're kind of more sporty line of cars. And Oldsmobile, which is a sort of lower end luxury car, those have been gone for a while. And then Saturn was I don't know what that was, a kind of an interesting experiment for GM. Saturn was actually, their cars were unique to start off with, but as time went by, they started sharing things with different cars on the platform. But Saturn had speaking of Saturn, I mean, they had a very bad reputation for a long time. But my personal experience of them is they actually really weren't bad cars. I mean, they had a few quirks and issues, but there's still some Saturns that are 15 years, 20 years old that are running around that are still good cars.
So for GM, how reliable would you rate them overall?
I'd say I consider them fair. I mean, they're better than they used to be these days. Like over the last 10 or more years, they're a lot better. I think about some of their lower end cars, like a Chevy Cavalier. I mean, they used to be a real piece of junk. I mean, it's still they don't make the Cavalier anymore. But as that line evolved, they started getting better, and some of the reliability problems like blown head gaskets just didn't happen anymore. What you're finished with is a cheap car that has, use the word finish, crappy fit and finish, but the reliability on the car was pretty good. I think overall they're pretty good. Again, I always compare it to the Japanese, the Toyota and the Honda. They're not as reliable, but they're often a much lower price point. So you'd have to spend a few dollars in repairs. You're probably still further ahead than buying a Japanese car. But yeah, I'd say nothing specifically jumps out at me about a list of everything about GM engines is bad. They're generally overall pretty good products.
So any specific common problems?
Nothing that really leaps out at me. There's such a variety of different. They have such a large line of cars and such a variety that there's a lot of little things here and there, but nothing really that's you've got to avoid this car because these engines all blow up or this happens. I mean, there are specific problems, but it's such a broad range. It's hard to speak on anything in particular.
So we talked a little bit about Cadillac being different. They make a few different unique vehicles, the Corvette and the Chevy Volt, for instance. How are those vehicles?
They're good. They're pretty good. I mean, we've never worked on a Volt. I mean, it's not there's very few Volts around. They're rare to see. It's kind of a neat concept of a car because you've got the plug-in electric car, which is great for most people's use. You've almost never run the engine, but if you decide to go to Calgary, tomorrow you can just hop in the car and you don't have to worry about where am I going to find a charging station. So I think it really gives you the best of both worlds. Just do the little reading. I mean, the reliability reports on them are not this fantastic, but I mean, I think overall they're pretty good. I know people who own them who speak really highly of them. So there's the Volt. You get a unique car, and really most people are going to get it fixed at the dealer for the time being. And who knows, again, how long those cars are going to be around when they're 10 or 15 years old. People may not want them anymore because there's going to be better electric technology, and people will just opt to buy that. Why would you want to even be saddled with an old electric complex technology? Corvettes, I mean, great car, unique sports car, typically always reliable, good cars, fun. Cadillac, Cadillac's is a unique line. Again, they're good cars. I mean, the only thing I'd say about Cadillac is over time, once they start getting older, they've historically had some unique engines that are extremely difficult and expensive to fix. So, with a Cadillac, you probably don't want to own an old one, but the newer ones are a lot of fun. I'd say old, like 15, 20 years old kind of thing. 10 years is probably okay.
Right.
So,
well, there you go. There's a quick synopsis of the GM brands, their reliability based on how many years you've been working on cars now, Bernie?
I'm rolling my head and just trying to look up into my head to think about that. About 35 years. Yeah, over 35 years actually.
So that's from the view from the west coast of Vancouver, 35 years of experience of fixing cars here in Vancouver, and the reliability of GM. Thanks, Bernie.
You're welcome.